feel that you may have missed out for adventure, maybe you stand up to take to make a cup of tea or something, you can always go back to it on YouTube. This gives you that opportunity. Femi, I hand over to you. Is that okay? Yeah.
Okay, then. Thank you very much, Bumi. Welcome, everyone. It's going to be a very inspiring meeting. We're still expecting more people to join. Toby, I can see Bibi Clement is around. Please, could you make her a co-host? Thank you very much. If you could make her a co-host. I think I would just give an intro before I bring you in. I don't know if you could put your camera. Let me just turn that off for you. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, welcome everybody. We are still expecting more people to come. But what I'll be doing is just to take you, just an intro, to let you understand what the purpose of the meeting is and why we are having, why we're having all these meetings, why we have this. So I just have a very short slide that I'm going to be working. Can you see my slide?
We can see it, Femi. It's very clear. We can see your slide.
Very good. So I'll just go straight to it. It's going to be straight to the point. The purpose of the meeting. I've written here, the purpose of the meeting is the meeting of purpose. Sometimes you get into some environment and you hear things that can change you. We are really a product of what we hear. And there's some information hidden in places, sometimes in places really specific. And this information, can impact your life to a great degree. So one of the things we are doing here is helping people to meet with purpose, to trigger something inside you that would help you reevaluate your life. You might think everything is easy, but it's always good to have a new dimension and a perspective from somebody else. So when you hear an information from somebody else, you're able to, reevaluate your life and make strategic decisions. I was talking with Kari just before now. If I had known many things I know now, if I had known it then, I think I would have made more intentional and more strategic decisions. And these are one of the things that we want you to know. So one of the purposes of this is to enhance knowledge. To enhance knowledge to make strategic decisions in life and not to get into unnecessary problems. And when you have the right information, especially about business, your job, you can visualize and then begin to think in the right direction. You can also develop the right habits. They say habits. It means happens bit by bit. So having the right information helps you. It helps you to develop the right habits and take right steps. And that's one of the reasons for meetings like this. So making use of opportunities, and also you require knowledge. You require knowledge, you require an action plan. So these are the things that will help you. You probably have a job. Not everybody here has a business, or maybe you have or you don't have, but there is always something that you don't know. There is always something that you don't know that can help you and that can enhance you. So I'll just go through this slide very quickly. So headsets, your headset, and this is one of the things we want to influence. Your headset is your mindset. So you can see this is a headset. We all have different headsets. And your headset is your mindset, is your philosophy, is the way you think. The way you think. And the way you think is impacted by what you read, what you hear. You are shaped by your friends, your experiences. All these things affect what you hear, and what you hear determines your philosophy of life. There are people who feel they can't start a business. There are people who feel that things are too hard, but there are people who believe that they will succeed. There are people who feel that because they have immigration problems, nothing can work. That's a philosophy. It's a headset. But when you have the right information, I'm telling you, begin to see clearly. It affects your philosophy of life. So one of the reasons why we do this is to help you have the right headset, the right philosophy of life. Because really nothing is beyond reach. So it's to have that right mindset, that right philosophy. So we are looking at your headset, your handset. Your handset is your skill set. So even if you don't have a business yet, or you feel that, okay, I don't want to start a business yet, you are in a job, but you want to grow in your job, what skill sets do you have? And programs like this help you to develop your skill set to progress in your job. Sometimes it's not just working hard. You need to work smart, and you need to be analytical. You need to understand what you need. What skill set do you really need for that job? Have you ever inquired? Have you asked questions? So it's to develop your handset, your skill set, to make you progress and enhance your progression, to discover and to develop and to progress. And the last one is your leg set. Your leg set. So we're talking about your headset, your handset, and your leg set. I'm telling you, these are the things to help. It's part of why we are having this meeting. So you can develop your headset, or you can realign your headset. You can develop your handset and your leg set. So what's your leg set? Your leg set is the direction in which you are headed. And your habits determine where you are headed. What you do every day, those little things you do every day. A little change, just a slight change in your habits, can change your destination to a high degree. Just a slight change. So events like this is to help you. You might not change dramatically, but there might be a slight change. There might be something you stop. There might be, okay, you know what? Let me even start a business. That's a good place to start. Or what kind of business can I start? You are heading to the right direction. It's your leg set. Small changes. Remember, as I said, habits happens bit by bit. So those are little changes that change your direction. Your leg set. And this is one of the reasons why we have this program. And in conclusion, you need to get the complete set to take charge of your future. You need to get the complete set. Listen, everybody who works is in a ship. And I'll just round up with this. You are in a ship, you are in a vessel, you are like in a vessel. And that vessel is your company. And it's taking you to a destination, an elusive destination called retirement, where people have heard stories that is a wonderful place. But the truth is, whilst you're on that ship heading to that destination, many things can happen while you're on that ship. So it's to take the best opportunity while you're on that ship, headed to that elusive destination called retirement. What are the things you can do? You don't have much time while you are on that journey. So we are saying get the complete set. Your headset, your handset, and your leg set. And there's a quotation here, just simple one. So the key to success is to start before you are ready. You don't need to be ready. You don't need to be ready. You need to start now. So on that note, I'll just stop sharing. I'm going to bring in our speaker for today, our co-speaker today. His name is Claudio Latu. He's been in, he works where, he helps people to know their rights. And, there are many aspects of our rights that we do not know. And this is what I'm talking about, knowledge. And this is where Kade comes in. He's also a mentor, he's a coach. He's going to help us know more our rights. He works with the Denise, can you help me? That services. Where is that now?
Yeah, I can take it from there.
Okay, I'll leave it to Bulu to take it from there.
Thank you.
But,
Yeah.
I'll change the session.
Okay, so we have the honor of having Mr. Kayode Olatuyi with us today. He's a motivational speaker, a mentor, and a personal development coach, and he has worked both in the private and the public sector. So we have that honor to have him here. Thank you for coming from your busy schedule. So we'll just hand over to him to take it from here. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Mr. Kayode Olatuyi. You can take it from here.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good morning. It's a pleasant pleasure to be here. As introduced, my name is Kayode Olatuyi. First, let me commend and congratulate the team on this fantastic initiative. It's a fantastic program. So I don't know what to say. I wish, like Femi said earlier, I wish many years ago when I came into the country, I wish I had a platform like this to rub minds with and share ideas about progression, about how I can achieve the purpose for my coming to the UK. So I have just a very short few minutes, and the short few minutes I'm going to spend it to tell stories, or one or two stories. But the reason for my story, don't worry, I know we're all here to learn. And the people that are coming after me are the ones that are actually going to teach you. They are the, very clever, intelligent, successful people who are going to teach you things. What I do is I like to tell some story as a way of starting up this program. In the invitation that was sent to all of us, what I got, here was one of the things that the organizers of the program wrote, that is telling me about what, introducing me onto the program. Part of what they said is that I should shed some light on how understanding and leveraging our rights can significantly impact our personal and professional life. And they went further to say, you may be missing out on critical opportunities simply because you are unaware of your entitlements. Indeed, many of us are missing out on what could rightly have belonged to us, or what is possible for us to achieve. And I'm going to say that with a personal experience of mine. When I arrived in the country about 1,021 years ago, that's my way of saying about 25 years ago, I came, my wife and my two kids were already here. So I came in. Fortunately for me, I got a job, and almost immediately I came in. And the household income there was about £3,000. But of this £3,000, we were paying rent of about £1,000 in London. We were paying child care for my two little sons. We were paying about 700, apart from all the other little. Then we were paying all other bills. So at the end of the month, there wasn't anything left. So I did something. I've had people talking about it, about, how people can access. So, and I know the situation wasn't right. So one day, because I was having sleepless nights about how to pay our bills, I went online and I started doing a search. And in the search, I just wanted to find out about life in the UK, really. And I found out something that apparently everybody in the UK, they are entitled to a certain amount for every meal that they take. So it is assumed that your meal, whether your breakfast, your lunch, or your dinner, is worth a certain amount of money. I didn't know that. Nobody ever said that to me. And I've always read why, but I never read it anywhere. So after I did that research, so it is true that the government assumes that every person has to have a life that would, for a certain amount for their meal, this is the amount of money that they should spend for it. So I took that thing and I decided to go to the council, because I've heard that the council can support in terms of housing and accommodation, in terms of housing. We were living in a 2-bedroom house then. So I went to the council to complain that this is my situation, although we have written to them in the few weeks that we've written to them, but there wasn't any response. So I now took this information with my 2 sons. I went there, and the young lady I was speaking to, she really didn't want to listen to me for all sorts of reasons. So I decided I wanted to speak with the manager. And it was interesting when I spoke to the manager came out and said, yes, what is it? And I said, well, I'm struggling as a family. I'm struggling. This is, and I explained myself to him. He said, well, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. I mean, there's nothing we can do to support you. And I now said, but listen, this is what the law says in the UK. I've already had a printout of all the things, all the information I could find out. I showed it to him and I said, this is what is supposed to be my situation. But right now, so when he saw that thing with me, because the highly placed official, guess what he did? He said, okay. Is it that you come back next week, or if you can wait for 2 hours until I finish with the people I'm dealing with in there? And I said, I'll wait. Ladies and gentlemen, to cut the long story short, by the time I left that place, about 1.5 hours later, I had a letter on me that says they will get back to me within the next 1 week. 2 days later, they called me to say, well, they've patched me up with a housing association. And the accommodation, the 3-bedroom flat, 3-bedroom house that they gave us then, although we will still be paying, but the 3-bedroom house was £350. That was the what we're paying like in a month. 350 from like 780 that we were paying before. So in that just that little information I had saved me more than £300 on a monthly basis. If I hadn't known that, if I hadn't come across people who tell me, that, where would I have been? It would have been very, very difficult for me. I would just have been running around to make more money. And, so in essence, what we are saying here is about learning. This country, more than our country, this country is a country of information. If you have information, you can do things. And guess what, guys? We all have information. In fact, we have more information. We've trained ourselves from where we are coming from to be able to, we put in a lot of information for ourselves. We read, we're educated, we're this, and our lifestyle there has trained us to be able to withstand some things. But what has always happened, like the Bible said, my people suffer for lack of understanding, lack of information. We live in the information age. And of course, people will say that, yeah, you can Google anything. Yes, but how many of us are actually using this Google? A personal development guru in America is fond of saying something that for our lives to change, we have to change. Now, and that it is about the value that we bring to the system that we belong to. What value do you have? And how can you change the situation, the things that are happening to you today? So this is the essence of this program today. And that is why I'm so delighted that it's a fantastic opportunity for me to actually share that story. Now, so in essence, what we're saying is, how do we have to succeed here and to succeed everywhere anyway? It's about us having to be adequately informed. I don't know whether anybody has heard about one fantastic book that is called The Jewish Phenomenon. That is the 7 habits that has made the Jewish people to lead the world economy. It's about, and the first principle of the Jewish people is knowledge is portable. That is, if you are well informed, there's so much that you can do. So that is the essence of what we're talking about here today, that we need to adequately, and I mean adequately, inform ourselves. Part of that adequate information is not the hearsay that we hear some of our friends talk about. It is about what can we do? How can we adequately inform ourselves? And I think that comes to what this program or this project is all about. the first thing that we need to do, I don't know, I mean, how long people have been here, but I'm sure there are people who are on this program right now who came on the JAPA basis. Now, maybe the goal for people who JAPA recently have been just to escape the hardship and the difficulty that is in Nigeria. But I will hope that since you arrived in the country, your goal, you have modified your goal to have some success, to be able to do things, to be able to, and understand how this system works. Now, so how do we get ourselves informed? How do we have this massive, adequate information? We need to research. Research by talking to people, by reading, because, ladies and gentlemen, in this country, there are laws that are in the statute books that even lawyers don't even know, yet they are in their statute books. Sometimes, I don't know whether you're familiar with what goes on in the courts. Someone will just bring an archaic law, a law that has not been practiced for the past 100 years, and it is still valid today. So what does that tell us? It tells us that there are things in this land, there are things in this country that people don't even know. But if you research, coming from having your goal, knowing that, okay, this is what you want to be, or this is what you want to achieve while you're here. Some of us are doing jobs that are, if you like, below our professional status. I mean, maybe what we did before we came here, or maybe our education, even while we are here, the education that we have had. What is it that we can do to elevate ourselves? Because it's all about elevating ourselves. What can we do to elevate ourselves? It is to be informed, to carry out research. And how do we carry out this research? One thing is networking. I'm sure that's one of the speakers, our main speaker today will be talking about networking a lot because it is her passion. Networking, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can find when you network. So one of my suggestions today would be whatever field you are in, when you hear about a conference, please, ladies and gentlemen, let's leave one or occasionally leave work for one day, just for us to go and network with high quality people in the profession or in the career or in the business that we would like to join. It's amazing the kind of people we meet there. So network like your life depends on it, because really here, it does depend on it. So we need to network. And one of the things I have found among ourselves is we do not network enough. We're getting better at it than some 20 odd years ago, when some of us would go to an event, you only see, a dot of 1 or 2 Black people in the conference. I remember where I first met our main speaker today. It was at a conference in London back then, and where there were thousands and thousands of people, and only a spatter of us Black people then. It's really strange. But this is how networking, this is the effect that networking can have on us, using our talent, using our skill, and using our experiences. Now, also, it is important to have a mentor, especially in the field that we want to be, we aspire to go into. Occasionally just get on, like, nowadays things are much, much better. We now have LinkedIn, X. It's a fantastic tool that we can plug into. People in the field or in the business area that you want to join, it's always, even when you don't know them, if you can get into their network, just send them messages. Unfortunately, I don't have time to tell stories of people, and I mean powerful people in this country that I sent messages to back then, and they responded. I was shocked. They didn't know me, and I just sent beautiful message, composed, and send it to them, and they replied that, at the next conference, let's sit down over coffee and chat, and let me find out who you are. So And these are some of the people who can make a mentor. It doesn't matter, they may be younger than us, they may be, it doesn't matter. It's about what we want to take away from them. And also, belong to a mastermind. A mastermind is critical, because what you will learn by yourself, if you belong to a mastermind, what you will learn by yourself in a year, if you belong to a mastermind, you can learn in 1 week, just 1 week. So it's fantastic. It's a great idea for us to network more. And part of networking is belonging to a network of people, just like the organizers of this great program is. This is what they are doing for us. Networking and bringing this mastermind, something to ginger, something to encourage, something to empower us to do all the things that are necessary. Now I come to one that I'm particularly passionate about. That is volunteering. One of the ways in which we can develop ourselves is to volunteer in the sector, in the area that we really aspire to be. Volunteer. If you're an accountant, find some small charity in your area, volunteer to do their books for them. Unfortunately, some of us, because we are working and want to make a lot of money, we just come in. So we devote all that time, our 9 to 5, working, 6 to 10 or 6 to 11 p.m., working. But it is important that we give some time, volunteer for organization. It's amazing how I've met people, and I've been a beneficiary of it myself, that because I'm volunteering for an organization, they created a role for me to fit in. Because it's only then that people can see you. You are exposing yourself. So it's important in any area, whatever your skill is, whatever your experience is, find a charity organization very nearby that you can volunteer your time for. Also,
we are running a bit short of time. Yeah.
Finally, about raising our confidence, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I was very guilty of. Our confidence, we need to do something about it. We need to raise it. We are bigger, we are better, and we are more endowed, and we give ourselves chances for opportunity to smile on us. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Olatuyi. Thank you. I think one of the things, like someone asked a question that, or a comment that, when you were talking about your housing status, that more like you were able to get that because your status may have been different from the status of a lot of new migrants today who have no recourse to public funds. But I just want to say that I think what Mr. Olatuyi is trying to say is that we if we don't ask questions, we won't even know some of those opportunities.
Let me quickly say this on that. Yes, I came in that time, although there was no restriction on me, but my visa then said I have no access to public funds.
Okay, so I was just trying to round up, but all I'm is just that we need to ask questions for what we don't know. We need to research. I'm just trying to sum up what Mr. Olatuyi has said, because a lot of us just, we take the back seat. I think that's what is just encouraging us. And with what he has put, we need to set goals, research, network, and all that. I think we would be in a better place. So thank you so much, Mr. Olatuyi. Hopefully we'll have you again some other time.
Thank you.
And we have opportunities to ask questions at the end. So Mr. Olatuyi is still there, and we can ask questions at the end of the program. Mr. Olatuyi, please, if you could take down the slide so that we can bring in our next speaker. And our next speaker is
Bumi, please unmute your mic. Sorry.
Okay then, sorry. So we're going to bring you all welcome. We're going to bring in our next speaker. Thank you so very much, Mr. Olatuyi. Hopefully we'll have you again on the platform at some point. We're bringing in our next speaker, Bibi Clement. Bibi Clement is someone who is a national in the UK level and an international speaker, a writer, an entrepreneur, a legal professional by calling, or how will I put it? And she's like a total package. And one of the things she's always said, which kind of resonates with me all the time, is that if people like Aliko, Dangote, Bill Gates, and all that, if they can have more than one stream of income, I beg. Someone like me, why would I? So that we can do more than just doing a 9 to 5. So we have that honor to bring in Bibi and Clement. She's an author, and some of our books has inspired some of us. We have read it, we have used it, and we are still using it, and it's working. So I have the honor to bring in Bibi Clement. Bibi Clement, can we have you, please? Yeah. And please, you also still have the time to invite your friends. They cannot afford to miss this. Invite your friends to join us. Thank you, Bibi Clement. You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you. Can we please, Toby, yeah? Can we make Bibi Clement? Oh, yeah, this is our very good friend of the house. Yeah, you're welcome. You need to unmute. Bibi, your mic. We can't hear you.
Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. Bumi, good afternoon. Hi there, everybody on the platform. Good afternoon. Couple of things I must apologize for. First of all, one, I'm actually speaking at another live event. So I had to take a few minutes out to speak with you. Two, I've forgotten my glasses. So my computer glasses. So I'm struggling with using my normal glasses and not using glasses at all. Bumi, could you kindly put the PowerPoint up? Let's use it from your end, because I'm using my phone rather than the laptop, please.
Okay then. Okay, Femi, please put it up. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So while that is happening, maybe I should just do a quick introduction. So my name is Bibi Clement. And my background is law. I'm an employment lawyer. And alongside my husband and I, we run a group of small companies in the UK and also in Nigeria. Thank you so much. Can you put it into slideshow? Yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much. We run a group of small companies. I also, as Bumi has said, I write books, particularly in relation to do with money and wealth creation. I'll talk about that at the end. And I'm also a visiting lecturer at Bayes Business School. Bayes Business School is a business school for City University of London. And I teach on, or I lecture on professional business skills there. And I am the only Black woman in that team. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about wealth creation and entrepreneurship in the UK. Now, when I was in Nigeria, because I was born here, but I grew up in Nigeria. And when I was in Nigeria, every so often, we would have somebody arrive from the UK, usually a guy, arrive from the UK after about 20, 25 years in the UK. And then they would come home with a suitcase and very few possessions. One suitcase and very few possessions. And I couldn't understand how somebody could spend 20, 25 years in the UK and come home with practically nothing. And then it wasn't unusual that after a while, we who were in Nigeria would have to be financially supporting the guy who had spent 20 years in the UK. I could not understand it. Having now come to the UK myself, I can see that it is actually very, very easy for that to happen. Very, very easy for that to happen. And that can happen if you don't understand the economic system in which you are operating. Now, when we came to the UK in the late 80s, the early 90s, there was nobody to show us how the system worked, because most of the people that I met here that were Nigerian, they were either doing menial jobs, we used to call it early morning work, or they were doing security, or they were doing care. So clearly they didn't understand the system, and we who came to join didn't understand the system. I remember when I got my first job as an administrator in a government department, I was like a god amongst my friends because nobody else had an office job. But even though I was at the bottom rung of the ladder, It still seemed like a big deal because everybody was doing menial jobs. But it's because we didn't understand the system. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that if you do not understand the economic system in which you are operating, you are like somebody who is playing a game and you don't understand the rules. What are the odds of you winning if you don't understand the rules? So today I'm going to give you very little information. There's not much I can do in 30 minutes, but very little information that I know will help you. It will help you. Even if you spent 10 years here and you're not making progress, this will help you and perhaps give you some of the reasons why you're not making financial progress. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, let's not worry about that. I've already told you about myself, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so yes, so understanding your economic environment is indeed the key to your financial progress. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so here's a crash course on capitalism, because the environment in which we are is a capitalist society. It's important that you know that this is a capitalist society. It's not a social, it's not a mixed economy, and it's not socialist. It is a capitalist society. Now, a capitalist society is a social economic system, a system. So social means people, economic means money. It is a system by which people and money relate. And the important thing about a system is that you cannot see a system, but it affects you. You cannot see a system, but it will affect you. So it's important that you know that what you are involved in is a system. It is designed. It has a particular purpose in mind. And the purpose of a capitalist system is to maximize profit. It is to maximize profit. And the reason why I share this is because some of us are under the illusion that the government have an obligation towards us to help us rise up the economic ladder. That is not what a capitalist system is about. A capitalist system is to ensure that profit is maximized. And in order for profit to be maximized, certain people get thrown under the bus. And I'll share who those people are in a little while so that you make sure that you don't become one of those people. So, it is a system by which the factors of production, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, those of you who are a little older and you remember your days of economics, those are the factors of production. And factors of production are things that a country needs in order to do well economically. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Please take note of those four things. Please take note. And they are controlled, those factors are controlled and privately owned by a very small group of people. Now, why is that important? Because politicians will have us believe that the wealth of this nation is up for grabs for anybody who would just pull themselves up by their socks and be hardworking. That is not true, ladies and gentlemen. That is not true. There is a difference between working hard and working smart. And the majority of us who come here have a very good and high work ethic. And indeed, you should have. But I'm telling you that working hard does not necessarily lead to financial freedom. There's a complete difference between working hard and working smart. What you need to do is learn how to work smart. And hopefully I give you a few tips today. All right. So remember the four things that you must be able to control and own are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. Okay, so I actually want you to say this. If you would kindly, everybody, if you could unmute everybody, because I actually want us to say this because I want you to remember this. Can you do that for me, please? Whoever's doing the administration. Kindly unmute everybody. I want us to say this together. Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, after 3, 2, 3. In a capitalist society, ownership is everything.
It's everything.
Can we say that again, please? After 3, 2, 3. In a capitalist society, ownership is everything. Okay, thank you very much. You can mute everybody again. Now, why am I emphasizing that? Because it is not what you borrow that
Yeah, Bibi, sorry, you need to mute. Yeah, you
Okay.
can't. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good? Can you hear me? Okay. So why do I emphasize that? Because it is what you own that matters, ladies and gentlemen. It is what you own. It is not what you borrow. It's not what you borrow that makes you wealthy. So if you are borrowing money and you are maxed up to here, if you have taken the equity out of your home and you've used it for something else, it is what you own. So that new car that you have bought on HP, you don't own. And let me tell you, let me use this as an aside. A new car is not an appreciable asset. So I don't understand why we spend so much money on things that are a depreciating asset. If you buy a new car today and you drive it to the end of the road and you drive it back to the showroom and you want to resell it to them, it would have lost about 20% of its value. So why we spend so much time on things that don't matter, the 100-inch screen TV, the lace material, the Ashrabi, the new car that are going to do absolutely nothing for you. It is what you own that matters. So you need to seek to own. Next slide, please. Okay, now one of the things that you will notice when I gave you that definition is that there was nothing about employees in there. And I have some bad news. And I don't say this to insult anybody. I say this to provoke you to do something about your economic situation, because the truth is, many of us are lackadaisical about our economic situation. So I want you to have a look at that picture. Employees with a single source of income do not do well in a capitalist society. I'm going to say that again because I need you to get it. Employees who are dependent on a single source of income, i.e. their salary, do not do well generally in a capitalist society. Okay? So you need to make sure that you don't become a casualty of a capitalist society. Because supposing they make you redundant, what happens? And here's a good test, actually, as to how wealthy you are. If you were made redundant today, how long could you go without having to borrow any money and still fulfill your financial obligations? How long could you go? That is a good measure of how wealthy you are. If the truth be told, some of us couldn't do 6 months. Some of us couldn't do 3 months. That is how wealthy you are. And I say this because, again, we are often in denial about our financial situation, and we can't afford to do that. We must face the truth of where we are financially head on so that we can do something about it. Next slide, please. So what do you need to do? And my mentor, Mr. Solotui, is my mentor. He said something. He said, you need to develop, or I think it was, you need to develop different income streams. You must think like a millionaire. One of the things that I've been doing the last few years is because of the call of God of my life, and the call of God of my life is to teach the body of Christ about how to create wealth. Because of the call of God of my life, the Lord has opened doors to relationships with very wealthy people. So in the last few years, a lot of the people I have made good connections with are very, very wealthy. And one of the things that I discovered from speaking with them, because I take the time to sit down with them and learn from them, one of the things I've learned is that none of them has a single source of income. They have on average about 7. So how you and I think we're going to become financially free by just being dependent on one is beyond me. You must have more than one source of income. And we'll go into what those sources of incomes will be in a little while. Next slide, please. Now, out of everything I'm going to say today, this is the most important, and I need you to get it. Okay? These are the people who do well financially in a capitalist society. Now, in a capitalist society, there are 3 main groups of people. Can we show the first one, please? Just the first bullet. The first bullet. Right. The first one are producers. Okay? Producers. What is a producer? A producer is somebody who makes something or creates something that adds sufficient value to someone's life such that they're willing to put their hand in their pocket and pay you for it. I'm going to say that again. A producer is somebody who makes something or creates something such that it adds sufficient value to someone's life. And the definition of adding value is, 1, it solves somebody's problem. 2, it meets somebody's need, such that they're willing to pay you for it. Now, why am I using that definition? Because some of us go into business thinking that we are producers. The fact that you are in business does not make you a producer. Many of us, to our chagrin, have discovered that we are in business trying to sell something that nobody wants to buy. The fact that you have something to sell doesn't mean anybody wants to buy it. But that is not what a producer is. Producers solve problems and they meet needs. I am a producer. What do I produce? I produce information. I package it in a way that people understand it, and it influences people into making certain decisions. And I package that information in different ways. So right now I'm speaking to you at a webinar. In a few minutes' time, I'm going to go into a hall. I'm about to speak to them in a live session. I have a radio show. I package that information there. I put that information in books. I put that information in courses. And sometimes it's the same information. But because people take in information in different ways, they will pay for it because it solves a problem for them and it meets a need. How do I become financially wealthy? Is a question on nearly everybody's lips. So of course, people will pay me money to give them the keys as to how to do that. That is a producer. The next bullet point, please. The next one is a distributor. Distributor. Who is a distributor? A distributor is somebody who merely brings supply and demand together. They don't create anything. They don't make anything. All they do is they bring supply and demand together. So one of my clients is he brings in African food for the African diaspora in the UK. That's all he does. Now, he doesn't make gari, he doesn't create rice, but he just brings it in from Africa for the African diaspora here. And I can tell you that his annual turnover is within the region of about 15 million a year. 15 million. And that is all he does. So again, to the glory of God, I am a distributor. What do I distribute? Knowledge and information that is of value to someone. So like today, you are the demand. You have a demand for the information I'm bringing. The words that are coming out of my mouth are the supply. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Okay. The third one is, let's go, consumer. Now, everybody's a consumer because we have to eat, we have to drink, we have to wear clothes, we have to live somewhere. So everybody's a consumer. But I want to, again, address those of you who are recently coming into the country, or those of you who have been here a little while, and you know deep down that you're not making financial progress. Now, the reason why I mention consumers, and I mention them in a slightly narrower definition than you normally understand, is because I think a consumer is somebody, by my definition, who has certain characteristics. And I want you to listen to those characteristics because you may recognize yourselves in them. A consumer is somebody who, one, carries a lot of personal debt. I'm not talking about commercial debt because everybody has debt. That's not a problem. But a lot of personal debt. Now, let me say something about debt. There is no shame to being in debt. Anybody can get into debt because circumstances change. So anybody can get into debt. But please hear me. Don't just sit in debt. If you are in debt, don't be ashamed. Go and get help. There are lots of organizations that will help you. Call them and ask for advice. Just like Ms. Alati was saying, you need to make sure you get the advice, get the knowledge. And some of these debts can be written off. Some of them can be written off. So a consumer is somebody who's carrying a lot of personal debt. They owe a lot of people money and they don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They're comfortable with that. A consumer is somebody who buys a lot of things to impress people, things that they don't need. So like I was saying, they might be driving the latest car, so you think they're doing well, but they're parking that car in front of a council flat that they don't own, and oftentimes they owe rent on, but they're driving the latest car. If you look at the way they're dressed, they're always dressed in designer wear. They've got the Gucci bag, they've got the Louis Vuitton, whatever, but they own nothing. And often their only asset is the house. And even when you look at the house, you discover that they've taken the equity out of the house. What did they do with the equity? They took it back to Nigeria to go and bury their dead father and impress people that don't like them and don't know them. And they eat the inheritance of their children just to impress people that don't matter. Those are consumers. Now, this is what I need you to get. This is what I need you to get. In order to do well financially in the UK, you must, not if, perhaps, or maybe, you must be found in at least 2 categories that I've just mentioned. Hopefully all 3, but at least 2. If you are not found in at least 2, the chances of you doing well financially are very, very slim. That's the truth. They're very, very slim. Next slide, please. Now, like I said, I teach professional business schools at the University of London. And I cannot tell you the amount of time we spend teaching our students about networking and how to build networks. Robert Kiyosaki has a quote. You know Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote Good Dad, Poor Dad. He has a quote where he says that rich people build good networks. Everybody else goes and gets a job. Rich people build good networks. Everybody else goes and gets a job. I was so upset when I first of all heard that quote. But it's now that I'm more exposed to wealthy people, I understand what he means. It is imperative that you have the right network. More than any other factor in life, more than your background, more than your education, and let me say something about education. Good job that I even mentioned this. Listen, you would have noticed that in that definition that I gave about those who do well in a capitalist society, you didn't see anything about those who have 10 degrees. For those of you who are coming from Nigeria, thank God for the degrees you have, but I'm telling you, you can have more degrees than a thermometer and still struggle to pay the mortgage. Trust me, I've been there. So it is not degrees. And I'm eternally grateful to Mr. Olati, and I told you that he's one of my mentors. Many years ago, I was practicing employment law for a trade union. And I was looking at how I was going to improve my career. And I remember asking him to have a meeting with me. We had a meeting and I said to him, I want to go and do a master's in law. And he listened to me and everything like that. And his first question to me was, why? And I thought, what do you mean, why? What kind of question is that? And then I had only just started speaking. I just started the speaking circuit. And he said, why? And I said, well, I think it's going to improve my career. And he said something to me. He said, Bibi, you are beginning to make waves in the speaking circuit. Has anybody who has hired you, any of the corporate companies that are hiring you or any of the places that you are speaking, has anybody ever asked you or said to you, the reason why we asked you to come and speak is because you're a lawyer? I said, no. He said, so why do you think it's going to progress your career? And I'm so glad that I listened to him, because in hindsight, it would have been a complete waste of my time. A complete waste of my time. So I'm not saying don't better yourself or improve yourself, but we must move from that mindset that financial progression equates academic attainment, because the world has changed. The world has changed. Part of what I do as a lecturer in professional business schools is we often sit down with industry leaders. And we ask those industry leaders, what is happening in the marketplace? What is it that you need us to be teaching our students so that they are, work ready when they come out? And they're saying to us that academic paper qualification is becoming less and less important to them. Less and less important. The era in which we are in, soft skills or transferable skills is what employers are looking at. Can you operate in a team? Can you get on with your teammates? Can you work well with people who are of a different culture from you, that speak a different language from you, who have a different religion from you, who have a different sexual orientation from you? Can you speak well in public? Do you know how to handle our customers, an irate customer? Can you handle them? How are your communication skills? This is what employers are looking at now, not how many degrees do you have. So for those of you who have come into the country, don't spend unnecessary money going to get a PhD and everything like that. Nobody's interested in that anymore. Okay, so you need to build a good network. What are the kind of people you need to have in your network? Let's go. Next slide. 1, now I'm a Christian, so this is obviously going to be very important to me. You need to look for people who are God-fearing. God-fearing. People who are living an uncompromised Christian life. People who have a hunger for holiness and a thirst for righteousness. Not people who have one leg in the world and one leg in the church, who are somebody completely different on a Sunday morning and totally different throughout the week. Not somebody who professes to be a Christian, but nobody in their workplace would believe that they've ever darkened the doorways of a church. Look for people who are living for Christ and living for Christ fervently. Secondly, look for purpose-driven people. People who wake up every day with a sense of purpose, who plan their life. Every year, my husband and I sit down and we plan what the next year is going to be. What did we do this year? What worked well? What didn't go so well? What can we improve upon? What do we plan for the children? What are we going to be doing next year? Where are we now? Where do we want to be by the end of next year? You don't just wake up in the morning. Too many of us just wake up in the morning and we go with the flow. Oh, I don't know what today is going to bring. I don't know how this week is going to be. Let's just go with the flow. No. Listen, if you don't know where you are going, anywhere you end up will look like a destination. You can't afford to live like that. And let me tell you, there are some people who are going nowhere and they want you to go with them. You must resist that. Look for purpose-driven people who are serious about their life. And are doing everything possible to live their best life and be the best version of themselves. Look for those kind of people, hook up with them and go with them. The next group of people are affirming people. People who, when you tell them your dreams, they say, yes, that sounds good. Let me see who I know that can help you. Or you know what? I might not have a lot of money, but I want to sow into your vision. So here's £100. Those are the kind of people that you need to be looking for, not people that you tell your dreams to. Bumi, you know what? I really believe that I can do this. And Bumi says, Bibi, you know what? I don't think that can work. Oh, Kayode tried it. He didn't make any money. You don't want to be around dream killers. They will drain you. And if your people that you love cannot see your vision for you, after a while, you will stop seeing it for yourself. So you can't afford to let that happen. And the last one is look for people who are doing well financially. They are wealthy and they are successful. Now, they don't have to be mega rich, but they do have to be doing everything possible to improve their financial situation. They are wealthy and successful. Listen, I have a friend, one of my closest friends. She lives in Spain. She's doing very, very well financially. She has a company in the UK, but she lives in Spain. And I went to spend some time with her. And I remember there was one morning I woke up and I could hear her in her bedroom. She was pottering around the bedroom. And then I could hear her on her laptop. And then around 7 o'clock, I could hear her making calls, that kind of thing. So when it was around 9 o'clock, she came out and she said, oh, Bibi, morning, have you had your breakfast? I said, yes. She said, have you had your shower? I said, yes. She said, okay, let's go play tennis. So I said, okay, not that I know how to play tennis, but I was happy to watch her play. I said, okay. I said, but before we go and play tennis, what have you been doing up? I've heard you since about 5 o'clock this morning. What have you been doing? She said, oh, I just bought a house. I said, excuse me? She said, I was buying a house. I said, you were buying a house? She said, yeah. She said, okay, so let's go. I said, no, wait. It's not even 10 o'clock. You bought a house this morning? She said, yeah. I said, what kind of house? She said, I bought some student accommodation. It had never occurred to me. I'm a property investor, but it never occurred to me to buy student accommodation. I said, no, we're not going to play tennis. Sit down and teach me about this student accommodation. You've got to be around people who are doing something, who are moving stuff, who are influencing people, not people who have no plan when they come to the UK and then they do nothing with their life. You can't afford to do that. All right, next slide. All right, be careful. These are things that you need to watch out for. Credit. Now, this is a credit-based society. Everybody's going to offer you stuff. Come and get this, come and get that, come and get the other. You got to be very careful. Ladies, you in particular, every store card going, you don't need it. You don't need it. You don't have to buy shoe and bag every month. You don't. Credit cards, again, if you don't have the discipline, don't go near them. Now, let me tell you something about credit cards. There's a thing called compound interest. Those of you who know about finance and stuff like that, you know what that is. Compound interest is where you pay interest upon interest. So, for instance, if I lend you £100 and I say, pay me, just pay me back 0% interest, then at the end of the year, you pay me back £100. But if I have 10% interest on that, when you pay me back at the end of the year, you're not paying me £100, you pay me 110. Compound interest is where you pay interest upon the 110, not the £100. All right. Now, when you have a credit card, what you are doing is paying what we call reverse compound interest, which means you are the person making somebody else rich. You are the one paying interest upon the interest. Because credit cards interest is calculated daily, which is why it is very easy for you to borrow £200 on your credit card, be paying the minimum, and you think you're clearing the debt, you're not. And then that £200 debt can very easily spiral up to £800. Why? Because you are paying compound interest. So except you have the discipline thereof, I would strongly encourage you to stay away from credit cards. I do not own a credit card. Now, if you do have the discipline, or you have to have a credit card, then try and ensure that you don't use it for personal effects. Don't use your credit card to buy clothes. Use it for things that will produce more money. Now, another thing is your credit score. This is vital. Keep an eye on it. For those of you who have just come to the country, keep an eye on your credit score. Your credit score will determine how other people, how financial institutions view you, whether you can have access to credit, whether people will lend you money. Your credit score is like your footprint as to how you are spending your money, and it tells people whether you are responsible financially. So keep an eye on that. I think a good credit score starts from about 670. So I would encourage everybody listening to me to go and find out what is my credit score, because there are certain things that you are not going to be able to access if you have a poor credit score. Also, strangely, you will actually pay higher for certain things. You will pay more for certain things if you have a poor credit score. You would think that the reverse would be the case, but actually you are going to pay higher if you have a poor credit score. So go and find out what your credit score is. Also, sometimes these credit reports are not correct. Sometimes there's something on your credit report that is not right or is old information. So go and find out, what is my credit score? Go to places like Experian and places like that. And if there's something on your credit score that's not correct, quickly ask to have it amended, because it will affect your ability to do well financially. Second thing is debt. Be careful about debt. Again, like I said, anybody can fall into debt, so there's no shame to that. But if you are in debt, get help. Christians Against Poverty, they help. I know there's some other ones. Just go on the internet, have the conversation. Just have the conversation with them. Don't be afraid. Don't let fear paralyze you. It's irrelevant whether you're here illegally or not. There's nothing that says you cannot be helped just because you're here illegally. Find out the information as to how to deal with it. The third thing is your DBS. Be very careful, those of you who are in certain industries. Now, we have had a spate. These are for those who have just come in the country, especially the guys. We have had a spate of cases recently of men who, I don't know what is going on, have done things like rape women, sexually assault women, and they have found themselves back in Nigeria. Listen, this is not Nigeria. This is the UK. If you try that mess here, you will go to prison or they will deport you, especially with underage girls. Be very, very careful. And I say this because this is becoming a trend. So be very, very careful. That girl that looks like she's 20 may only be 15. So make sure you're very, very careful when it comes to the way you handle women and your DBS. Your DBS stands for Disclosure and Barring Services. It's a form that says whether you have done anything illegal or you've done something untoward in relation to your workplace. And there's certain industries that once your DBS is messed up, you will never get a job in that industry again. I have an example of a guy who had about 20 years experience in the teaching industry. Very, very good guy, very good teacher. And there was a young lady, a student of his who was in secondary school, who became infatuated with him, as often happens with young girls. And she started sending him inappropriate messages. Now, what he should have done was report that to his head teacher and then have it dealt with, get the parents in and have it dealt with. He didn't do that. So one of the things that this girl did was she liked poetry. So he started sending her, finding poems that she liked. I don't know what his motive was. Maybe he was just trying to help her. I don't know. But he was sending her poems that she liked. Anyway, I think her mother or somebody discovered all this. The whole thing blew up. And even though when they did the investigation, they said he hadn't done anything. He hadn't slept with her. He hadn't done anything. But because of the power differential, he was a teacher, she was a student, and she was a vulnerable student because she was going through some emotional stuff. They sacked him. Now, this guy thinking that he hadn't done anything wrong, tried to get a job, and then discovered that he had been blackballed in the teaching industry. End of 20-year career. So be very, very careful with things like that. Learn to live within your means. Many of us are, I don't understand it. We are so we're so competitive. We want to be like everybody else. One of the marriages that we were dealing with recently, that we were having to counsel recently, the woman was about to turn 60. You know, all these destination parties that everybody's doing now these days. Apparently all her friends were having these destination parties. She wanted to have her birthday party in Dubai. So she started putting her husband under pressure. She wanted him to sponsor. And the husband said, I'm sorry, I can't sponsor a party in Dubai. I don't have that kind of money. And it became a big fight. And then she wanted to remortgage the property so that she could take the equity out to go and have a party. That's going to last 24 hours. Guys, let's get real. If you cannot afford it, you can't afford it. Just live within your means. Who are we trying to impress? Live within your means. I drove the same car. Cardi would tell you, I drove the same car for 13 years before I bought a new car. And I only bought a new car because I could afford it. So up until the time I could afford it, I was driving the same car. Those who wanted to laugh at me, laughed at me. That's fine. I don't care. That's fine. Okay, and then the last thing is learn to use your time wisely. Time goes very, very quickly, and you will never get it back. It goes very quickly. So make sure that you plan your life. Plan your life well. If you're married, plan your life as a couple. You've got to be moving in the same direction. If he's moving this way and you are moving that way, that means you have two visions in your family. Division. Two visions. You're not going to do well financially. Have the same vision, have the same plans for your life, and ensure that you're using your time wisely. You don't have time, ladies and gentlemen, for marathon episodes of Netflix. If you are 30 and over, I'm telling you, you are running out of time. You do not have time for marathon editions of Netflix and this and that. You need to use your time wisely. I'm not saying you shouldn't relax. Of course, I relax as well. I'm not saying you shouldn't relax. But on a daily basis, you don't have time to be doing that. So make sure that you're using your time wisely and you're using it productively. Okay, next slide. I think we're nearly there. What's the next slide? Yes, so what do? You have to start. You have to start. You don't have to be great. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row to start, but you do have to start. So here's what I would encourage you to do. This is some principle that I live by that you might find useful. So I get my salary, or I get my income, whatever it is I get at the end of the month. First thing I do, because I'm a Christian, I pay my tithe and my offering. That's entirely up to you whether you want to do that or not, but that's what I do because I'm a kingdom-minded woman, and I know that the kingdom of God needs money. So I pay my tithe and my offering, and I want to honor the God who gives me life. So once I've done that, I then pay myself first. What does that mean? Before my mortgage people get their mortgage, before BT gets their money, I take out a certain percentage, usually between 10 and 30% of whatever my income is, and I invest it. I invest it in something that will produce more money. I invest it in shares every month. A certain amount of money goes towards shares. I invest in the FTSE 100. Certain amount goes towards property investment. Certain amounts goes towards investing in other people's business. So whatever it is that you need to do to put money in something that is making more money, do that. That is how people become wealthy. So if you want to start a business, now is the time to do it. Don't wait. There's nothing you need to wait for. If you don't know how to do it, hire somebody like me that can show you how to set up a small business. And let me tell you, you don't need a large business to become wealthy. You don't. There are people running multi-million-pound businesses from their kitchen table. You don't need a large amount of money to become wealthy. Okay, I think we're nearly done. Okay, recommended resources. Of course, I'm going to recommend my own books. So please keep going. There's some other books there. Keep going. All right. So first thing, if you've never read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I would encourage you to go and read that. That's written by Robert Kiyosaki. If you're interested in trading and investment, but you don't know how to do it, there's a book written there by one of my fellow Kingdom wealth creators, Dr. Adeniran Banjoko. I'm sure some of you have heard him speak, fantastic speaker. But he wrote that book, is available on Amazon. And of course, my own books, How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur. That book, How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur, is now on the recommended reading list of an MBA program at the University of Sussex. So if other people are buying it, my people should be buying it. The last one is Wealth Creation God's Way. There are ways in which you can make money that will allow you to sleep at night. Some of us are making money, we can't sleep. We can't sleep. That is not God's plan for your life. He wants you to have money, but he doesn't want money to have you. So if you want to discover biblical principles as to how to become wealthy and financially free, then I would encourage you to get that book. Both of them are available on Amazon, but you can also get them from my website, which is bbclement.com. Just type in bbclement.com. You will find it there. Anything else? Let's see. Next slide. I think we're done. Okay, yes. All right. So that's my radio show. I have a radio show that airs every Tuesday afternoon. That airs every Tuesday afternoon at 1:30 to 2:30 on Star Radio UK. I'd encourage you to tune into that. You will learn a lot from it. All right, next slide. Thank you very much for listening. And on behalf of Gaps and Bridges, I wish you every success with your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Bibi. Wow, mind blowing as usual, and a lot to learn from. So Bibi hasn't got much time, so we'll just quickly take the questions and answers now, the few minutes she's got. Thank you for coming and for honoring the community, not just Gaps and Bridges, you know, part of social responsibility to the community that we're all empowered. So if we have questions, could we just ask? And you could see those resources that she has posted. We can share the slides if you want. Her contact details are there. The resources are there. Her books are there. You can please start from buying Bibi's book. I have read, I've gone through them, and you need them. I'm sure you can get them on Amazon, or you can contact with the contact details. So any questions, please? So we can get her. She has another event, so she has to kind of not squeeze us in. She made time for us, and which we really appreciate.
So I'll just take one of the questions there. So this question is from Joke. She says, Bibi, many thanks. Please, could you share about some good investment opportunities in the UK?
Okay, one good investment opportunity is property. Property. Every millionaire I have spoken to has told me that no matter the industry they began in, they built their wealth through property. A lot of their wealth was built through property. Now, many of you might be saying, well, look at the cost of houses in the UK. You know, 300, 400,000. How am I ever going to do that? Listen, the day of needing all that is over. There are people who are showing us how to collaborate. That's what we're doing now, ladies and gentlemen. For instance, I have a property investment group that I'm a member of, and we all put money together. So we have people who source the properties, and then we all you bring 10,000, you bring 20,000, that kind of thing. And we all put money together. We set up a company, we all buy the property together, and we all own it together. We decide what we're going to do with it. All right. So, okay, after 5 years, we're going to sell it, and then we just split the profit, or we're going to put tenants in it, and we'll just be taking the rent money. Once we pay the mortgage, we'll be taking the rent money, or we buy the property cash down. Because everybody is contributing, you actually have access to more money. Now, again, I need to address mind issues, because a lot of people think, oh, well, the property will not really be mine. It will belong to 10 of us. I would rather have 10% of something that's profitable than 100% of nothing. So it's entirely up to you, but you no longer need that. And there are lots of ways in which you can make money through property. You don't even have to own the property. So one of the things that I do is I take property from my friends.
Yeah, she's making great sense. Yeah.
Sorry? There are many ways in which you can make money from property. I take property from my friends, and they tell me how much they want to let it for. I add a bit to it and I let it out. I have friends who have properties here and they don't live here. They live in Nigeria, or they live in other places. So I take on the management of the property for them, and then I add whatever add some money to whatever it is that they want, give them their portion, and I take my profit. And I don't own the property. So there are loads of ways in which you can do that. Like I said, you can buy shares and stocks and bonds. One of the things that I discovered when I was buying bonds in Nigeria is that over 70% of the bonds that are bought in Nigeria are bought by people who live in the West, who have never been to Nigeria. And yet there are people in Nigeria who have no idea what a bond is. And we keep complaining that there is no money. There are opportunities to make money all around you, all around you. Just like Mr. Lottie said, it is a lack of knowledge that is affecting us. Other ways in which to make money, you can invest in other people's business. And that's part of working smart. Who wants to work until they're 70? Nobody wants to work until they're 70. So one of the things that you can do is invest in other people's business, especially these young people. Man, I'm telling you, these young people are coming up with some ideas that are just totally mind-blowing. And we that we're old, we don't understand how the world works anymore. So if I find a young person who has a good business idea, I put my money in their business, let them run with it. And I take my money. Lots of things that you can do. Okay.
Yep. Thank you very much for that, Vivi. That was really, really inspiring. Very powerful. Very, very. Yeah. Do we have any more questions? I think the questions are done for now. That's cool. Yep. Yep. So
I can take one more question because I gotta go.
let me check. Now. So there's a question saying, how about opportunities in Nigeria? You just mentioned one anyway, but
yeah, that's one of them. So find out about things like bonds, stuff like that, because government bonds have a high interest yield. So find out about things like that. And any business, whether you're in Nigeria or not, any business is dependent, like I said, on what are the needs? What do people need? I mean, that's what Dangote builds his business on. What do people need? They need to eat. They need to build houses. What are the needs? That's it. Build a business around the needs. What we do is we look for a business that we like, something that we like, and we think that somebody's going to buy it because we like it. No, what do people need? Build a business around that. Build a business around that. I know a woman in Nigeria who's become very wealthy from selling ogi. She just made it, she just made it look really nice and really good. That's all she did. She was a graduate and she sells ogi. The same ogi, but she just made it psychedelic and started selling it to the Lekki crowd and has become very, very wealthy as a result of it. Also, think about your gifts. What are your gifts that you can use to make money? What gifts do you have that you can use to make money? All right, I gotta go. I'm so sorry. I've got to go.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm sorry to have a meeting. Thank you, really.
Thank you.
And it's been really inspiring. Yep. Thank you for that. Please, let's try to get our books. You can also get to know more about her by checking her website, bibi.com, bibiclements.com. Thank you very much, Mr. Kayode, as well, for enlightening us about getting to know more about our rights in the UK and, the story you gave about the opportunity you had by researching. So research, just taking a research can take you a step further to knowing things more and to more opportunities. I think it's a very powerful session. Don't forget, you can always get this on our YouTube. It's going to be there. You could always go back. They say you hear things 7 times, no, at least 12 times before you can retain 70%. So it's not just hearing once, it's hearing over and over and getting the main points that you can always use in your life. I believe that this is going to inspire people to begin to think how you can make more money, what opportunities you can see, how you can start a business, and all that. So we are really grateful for our speakers. Thank you guys for coming. One more thing, please. We have a questionnaire. We, put it on the chat. You could just go there and fill the questionnaire. That's going to help us in our planning, our strategy. Also, we'll be having an event on health and productivity. How does your health impact on your productivity? You want to start a business, but you're not healthy. It's a problem. So we're looking at health and productivity, how you can be more healthy, develop yourself health-wise, and be more productive in life. So yeah, please, let's try and make that meeting and try and invite everyone for that meeting. Thank you guys for coming. I think we're going to be ending this session here. We're also going to be sending the flyers. If you do not have your email, you can drop your email so that you can get the, sorry, not the flyers, the questionnaires, and help us to fill that. the questionnaires. So thank you again. Thank you also. I believe you must have had, an information that's going to help you. And it might just be for somebody, it might be for 2 people, 3 people, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that somebody is being inspired, somebody's taking the right steps, the right direction, and having the complete set. So we have the questionnaire right there. Please just click on it, and just quick 10 questions. Just feel that'll really help us. So yeah, I'll just be leaving it up for like the next 5 minutes for you to fill it, and then we'll be closing up. So the next 5 minutes is just going to be for you to fill in the questionnaire. Just click, and that's it. And that will help us in our planning. Thank you very much, guys, for coming. I'm very sure you guys must have enjoyed it. Yeah, fill the questionnaire and do enjoy the rest of your day. So we're just going to be leaving it for the next 5 minutes, and then which is for filling the questionnaire, and then we're going to be closing everything up. So thank you.